NFL free agency and the draft are right around the corner. All the head coaching vacancies have finally been filled, New Orleans, which means I, Brandon Perna, knower of football things, have taken the time to look at the biggest need for all 32 NFL teams. Today, we're focusing on the NFC. Tomorrow, the AFC. In today's episode, I will do my best to hit on every team's pending free agent departures, what they sucked at doing in 2024, and how they can address some of those needs in free agency and the draft. Oh my God, indigestion. Draft. Please don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We just crossed 708,000 subs. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Starting with the NFC South, the division that doesn't know how to spend money properly. The New Orleans Saints' biggest need? The NFL equivalent of student loan forgiveness, a government bailout, Chapter 11 bankruptcy. For the 12th year in a row, the Saints entered the offseason in the worst cap situation of all 32 NFL teams, $51 million over. That was okay when they had Sean Payton and Drew Brees, but now you have Kellen Moore and Derek Carr. No offense to Kellen.
Kellen, let's run this. Let's run this shit back, Kellen.
Yeah. Tight end Juwan Johnson, edge experiment Chase Young, probably gone. Corner Paulson Adebo broke his leg, might also leave. I thought he was pretty good when he was healthy last season. You traded away corner Marshawn Lattimore. Alvin Kamara is 29 and 90% of your offense, and Chris Olave is in concussion protocol 90% of the time from Derek Carr's hospital balls. Receiver is a need. Tight end is a need. Corner is a need. Edge is a need. But fuck, just hit the reset button, New Orleans. Let everyone go, including Derek Carr, and focus 100% of your efforts into the draft.
Honestly, we have nothing to lose,
The Saints' need is the reset button. You've kicked the can down the road so far for so long. It's just a sliver of aluminum. The Falcons' biggest need? Kirk Cousins to admit he's washed and retire and give them his money back. Big Kirko has a big cap hit of $40 million this season and a dead cap hit of $65 million if Atlanta were to cut him. The Falcons need to pump and dump. Atlanta has to trade Cousins, which would free up $27.5 million so they can address their actual biggest need, a pass rusher. Now, Kirk would be a great QB to have on roster with Michael Penix if he were to rework his deal, but we know Kirk's not going to do that. Will anyone trade for Cousins? Probably not. They might be able to get a premier edge rusher at pick 15, but these dumb fucks only have 4 picks in the 2025 NFL draft. I see them trading back from 15 just to get a couple extra picks. If Tennessee's edger James Pierce is there at 15, Atlanta could draft him. Arnold Ebiketie, or as I'm just going to call him, E-Bike, led the team in QB pressures with 39 last season. I think Atlanta lets Matthew Judon go and hope they get their second edger in the draft or select a defensive lineman at pick 15 if they don't trade back. It's a great draft class for interior defensive linemen. If Grady Jarrett can get some help on the inside, Atlanta could fix their weakness quickly. Mississippi's Walter Nolan and Michigan's Kenneth Grant are good defensive tackles who could be there at 15. The Panthers' biggest need? Everything defense. Carolina was dead last in points allowed, rushing yards allowed, and third worst on yards per pass allowed. And if you see any defensive charts, they are in the bottom left corner of all of them. 11 defensive players will be free agents for the Panthers, 4 of whom are safeties. Carolina managed to finish the season with a worse quarterback pressure rate than the Falcons, meaning Carolina was dead last. They need help at corner. Michael Jackson was their top-rated player at the position, ranked as the 44th best corner in the league. That's far from being a thriller, and they will tell a bunch of their own free agents to beat it.
Just beat it.
Needing help on, every part of your defense is the bad news. The good news is the Panthers can go into the draft and simply take the best defensive player available at every pick. Maybe draft a receiver at some point, but I kind of like what I started to see from Jalen Coker late last season. Let all of your defensive free agents walk. I do not give a fuck.
Just beat it.
If the Giants can't get a deal done with defensive end Azeez Ojulari, go after him in free agency. He's only 24. Maybe target Super Bowl hero Milton Williams for your D-line. The fact that you have a rookie quarterback and just $22 million in cap space is incredibly annoying, Carolina. But having $73 million more to work with than the Saints is just hilarious. The Buccaneers' biggest need? An offensive coordinator who won't abandon Baker Mayfield after 1 year?
Duval.
If Chris Godwin leaves, it's possibly receiver, but Jalen McMillan was very nice, and until Mike Evans actually retires, they can get by. It's defense for the Bucs. Todd Bowles is a good defensive coach, and that unit took a step back last year, dropping from 6th in scoring to 16th. They probably need to draft a linebacker. Levante David and KJ Britt are both free agents, and age has to catch up to Levante at some point. Yaya Diaby finished the season with 57 pressures. I think secondary is a bigger need than edge at this point, although getting someone on the other side would get Tampa closer to that dominant Super Bowl winning defense we watched a few years ago. PFF lists edge, linebacker, corner, and safety as needs. If you want a piece at every level, fill one in free agency and then draft the best player available in each round, like I suggested for the Panthers. With just $5 million in cap space, Tampa desperately needs another good draft. Today's episode is sponsored by Bear Mattress. All of Bear mattresses are created without the use of harmful chemicals, so you can sleep safely and soundly knowing there will be no off-gassing. All Bear mattresses are also created by Ben Johnson. Just kidding, but at $13 million per year, Ben Johnson could buy enough Bear mattresses to stack higher than the Willis Tower. And I've been on a high ever since my elite hybrid Bear mattress arrived on my doorstep before the start of the 2023 football season. And my daughter still wakes up at 6 a.m. every single day after sleeping on the Kids Cub twin mattress. Now, I've been on my Bear through the failings of an expensive veteran quarterback and with the excitement of an amazing rookie QB. That's peak joy, peak stress, and peak chaos. And that's just football. Having a kid will make you appreciate good sleep in ways you could have never imagined. So go to bearmattress.com/thatsgood to get 40% off for their President's Day sale. You don't want to buy a mattress that doesn't fit your body or sleep style. Bear gives you a 120-night sleep trial to test it out. That's roughly 4 months. Plenty of time to sleep in every position. Sleep after you overeat. Sleep after staying up too late. Take a nap on it. Whatever your routine, you get 120 days to make sure Bear is right for you. And to ensure you get the right mattress, take the Bear Sleep Quiz on their site. The quiz helped me land on the Elite Hybrid as a side sleeper. Bear offers pillow top mattresses, memory foam mattresses, and the brand new Bear Natural Latex Hybrid. If you're looking to improve your sleep quality or upgrade your old mattress, take advantage of my discount running for a limited time with my link bearmattress.com/thatsgood to get 40% off your Bear mattress plus 2 free pillows during the President's Day sale. Just use my link to get it. Moving on to the NFC West, the Rams. Do the Rams part way with Matthew Stafford? If so, quarterback immediately jumps to the top of the list. I don't think they will. And if they keep Stafford, then their biggest need might be wide receiver. Puka Nacua didn't skip a beat after missing time to injury, but they've already announced they'll be moving on from former Triple Crown winner Cooper Kupp, and that would leave Demarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell as their next best options behind Puka, and both of those guys are also set to be free agents. T. Higgins has been linked to every team who needs a receiver, but holy shit, would it be fun to watch T. Higgins next to Puka Nacua? It would be like watching T. Higgins play opposite someone like Jamar Chase. Starting tackle, Alaric Jackson's a free agent, as is reserve Joe Noteboom. Signing Jackson, probably their priority, but if they both walk, tackle becomes a big need. On defense, the Rams really need another corner. Akilla Weatherspoon is a free agent, and I think they can get better and younger at the position in the draft. They seem to be doing well drafting defense. A lockdown corner with that pass rush, though, would be insane. The Cardinals' biggest need? Growth hormones for their quarterback and hormone-free beef for their lines. The Cardinals didn't have a single player with more than 5 sacks last year. They had the 10th fewest pressures in the league. That has to change. Unfortunately, 2 seasons ago, they got rid of Zach Allen, one of the best interior rushers in the NFL and a first-time All-Pro. What did they get back from Denver? Well, they traded for Baron Browning mid-season last year, and he finished the year with just 15 pressures and 2 sacks. They need to put heat on the quarterback in some form or fashion moving forward. They pick at spot 16 in the draft. They can possibly select the second best edge rusher or second best defensive lineman at that spot depending on how it falls. I've seen James Pierce mocked there, Alfred Collins, an off-ball linebacker, and interior offensive line. Nobody is talking about the Cardinals, but with $70 million in cap space, they could be big players in free agency. Maybe they go after a guard like Will Fries so they can draft edge or D-line.
Did I ask for fries? Dumbass.
The Seahawks. Geno Smith seems like he's going to be the guy in Seattle. Though the Seahawks could take a developmental prospect at quarterback somewhere in the draft. In the meantime, I bet they'd want to address the protection up front. Their biggest need, offensive line. Yeah, the Seahawks were left in the lurch when their center retired, and that mess led to them allowing 54 sacks over the course of the year. Both PFF and Daniel Jeremiah have Seattle drafting edge in defensive line. That seems silly for a team that had the 6th best pressure rate last year and hit a home run with Byron Murphy. If they get better on their offensive line, maybe they can run the damn ball with either of their talented backs. Seattle is $11 million over in cap space, and they need to find a way to sign free agent Jaron Reed, Jonathan Hankins, and or linebacker Ernest Jones. Those pending free agents are why they're probably getting mocked edge and defensive linemen. But it's O-line as your biggest need, Seattle. Don't get it twisted. The 49ers, they need some goddamn injury luck. And for their dumb fans to stop thinking Kyle Shanahan is the problem. Now they lost Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Dre Greenlaw, and hell, even their first-round receiver was injured by a bullet to the chest last year. The Niners are a prime candidate to bounce back and win the NFC West if they don't have another year from hell in the injury department. That said, Dre Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga, they could all leave in free agency, but I think they need help on the offensive line. Thanks for Mike McGlinchey, by the way. He was great last year in Denver. Another player 49ers fans shit-talked into oblivion. The good news, by picking at 11, you can get one of the premier interior linemen in the draft. Maybe Armin Membo or Tyler Booker. 11 draft picks in this draft has the 49ers primed to get better in the trenches. Robert Saleh might help right their defense quickly, but maybe the most surprising stat from this last season is the Niners having the 6th fewest quarterback pressures in the NFL. Nobody needed Trump to lose more than the 49ers. So much will hinge on what contract Brock Purdy agrees to. They have 23 unrestricted free agents. So they will be extremely busy reworking and re-signing who they can once they know how much Purdy will require. If they sign interior O-line help in free agency, bet your sweet buns they go edge and D-line early in this draft. Then we've got the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles' biggest need? Nothing. You need nothing. That's your prize for winning the Super Bowl.
I'm going to take a second to talk to you about underdogs. When Doug Peterson was hired, he was rated as the worst coaching hire by a lot of freaking analysts out there in the media.
Jalen Hurts can't throw.
What?
Saquon's too expensive.
What?
Devontae Smith too small.
What? Jason Kelsey's too small. Lane Johnson can't lay off the juice. Brandon Brooks has anxiety.
A.J. Brown is a diva.
What?
Lane Johnson too old.
What?
They can't play with Cam Jurgens. Jason Kelsey was too good.
What? Nelson Aguilar can't catch. Zach Ertz can't block. Brett Selleck's too old.
Zach Bond's a special teamer.
What?
Grenion went to Toledo.
What?
Reed Blankenship too white.
What?
Cooper DeJean's a safety.
What?
CJ's a bum.
What? Hungry dogs run faster. And that's this team.
They can't fuck with us.
But I bet Philly will keep adding to its defensive line because, shit, that's just what they do. Their top priority, deciding which defensive free agents to bring back. Zach Bond, Josh Sweat are their top 2 priorities. They did draft Dallas Goedert with Zach Ertz on the roster, and this is a great draft class to stack up at tight end. Here's my thought. Fuck the Giants over again, Philly. Sign Darius Slayton. Oh my God, yes. Oh yes. No offense, Jahan Dotson, but it would be so funny to hear 1,000-yard Eagle receiver Darius Slayton next year. The Cowboys' biggest need? They need to fix the run game, and I'm talking about on both sides of the ball. They were dead last in rushing touchdowns scored and rushing touchdowns allowed last season. On defense, they need to get younger and stronger up front, or the Eagles will once again make them their broke backs twice a year. They do have a guy by the name of CeeDee Lamb, but outside of that, they're fairly bereft of offensive playmakers. It's a steep drop-off between Lamb and Jalen Tolbert, Brandon Cooks, and Jonathan Mingo, one of the more bizarre trades last season. Oh yeah, and if they can't re-sign Micah Parsons, they're going to have a huge hole on defense that was already second to last in scoring. Things are not going to be easy for first-time head coach Brian Schottenheimer, and Jerry Jones is too old to have a vision for the team.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. Very low percentage.
The Washington Commanders. For the first time in a long time, I'd say the Commanders are pretty set at quarterback with Jaden Daniels. You're all good there. I'd love for Washington to find Jaden a more reliable target outside of Terry McLaurin. De'Ami Brown was great down the stretch. Now maybe that firepower does come from a receiver, either free agency where they have money to spend, or the draft, or at tight end. Another guy to play opposite Zach Ertz or succeed Zach Ertz. By the way, Zach Ertz is 34 and they need a plan B. And as much as I like Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson, you don't want to go into another season where your quarterback is your leading rusher. So I could see the Commies dipping into a very loaded running back draft class on day 1 or 2. They seem to be the favorites to land Myles Garrett. And if Dan Quinn landed anywhere other than the NFC East, I'd project Micah Parsons reuniting with Quinn when Jerry Jones ultimately fucks up that situation and Micah forces his way out via a trade. Washington needs to give the Browns what they want for Garrett without giving the Browns what they gave away for Watson. Expect the Commanders to make big free agent signings at corner, edge, or receiver, or some combo of all, because they have money. Then it's the Giants. Their biggest need? Find a quarterback by any means necessary, and don't hand him $40 million a year for throwing 15 touchdowns because the running back did the hard work. They really just need any kind of juice on offense. Great start with Malik Neighbors last year, but this is a team that allowed 48 sacks, was dead last in red zone efficiency, and scored on just 28% of their offensive drives. I think a good tight end could solve a lot of those problems, and fortunately for the G-men, there's quality ones to be had in April. I really believe they will have Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders as their quarterback by the time we're 20 minutes into the draft. With the recent failed veteran quarterback experiments, I don't think Matthew Stafford actually goes to New York. Draft your quarterback, even if you need to trade with the Titans to do it, and drop some coin on a tackle for your offensive line and free agency. If you do draft Shadur, he will blame your offensive line publicly if he struggles. Just know that. Also, it's time to rat out Tommy Cutlets to the mob. Let's let the Mafia pay some of the off-book free agents you need. NFC North, the Packers.
I think we need another DN.
Okay.
I think we need another DB, and then I think we need a wide receiver.
It feels like the Packers have around 15 serviceable wide receivers on their roster without having a clear-cut number one. I don't remember the last time they signed a marquee wideout or traded for one, but you can bet they'll find one in the draft. Jair Alexander's future with Green Bay is uncertain at the moment. He's under contract, but has been plagued by injury and is in an out year in his contract. They should keep him, but also go to the well that worked so well for him last year and sign Raiders free agent corner Nate Hobbs, who, like Josh Jacobs, is coming off an incredibly down year after playing very well early on. Green Bay also needs a premier edge player, and their fans are linking Maxx Crosby to the team. Knowing Packers fans want Maxx Crosby, Green Bay is getting Josh Uche. Maybe Rasul Douglas comes back home, though.
Is there anybody particular around the league that you feel like should come into the organization, can make an impact for y'all? Somebody you want to shout out that you...
I mean, there's a dude sitting right next to me, man. You know what I mean? That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool, no?
My other question is, who does Tom Grossi want them to draft?
Tom, who do you want the Packers to draft? The best wide receiver in the entire draft, Tom Grossi.
Who is this year's Justin Jefferson or Brian Branch?
I love the guys that we have in the receiving room. They all have potential to be one, but we need a guy that's proven to be one.
Tom Grossi, wide receiver, 1.
Whoever Tom wants the Packers to draft, a division rival will get. Daniel Jeremiah has edge rusher Shamir Stewart going to Green Bay, which means he'll be a Lion or a Viking for some reason. Vikings! This team is pretty damn good, but their leading rusher last year was Aaron Jones, and he'll be a 30-year-old free agent in a month. I don't have a ton of faith in Cam Akers or Ty Chandler suddenly becoming bell cow backs, but lucky for the Vikings, they're looking at one of the best running back draft classes in recent history. If corner Byron Murphy leaves in free agency, that also becomes a massive need. It's a need even if he stays, which I think he will. Stephon Gilmore, Shaq Griffin, Cam Bynum, Fabian Moreau, and Theo Jackson are all free agents. That's 5 corners and a safety. Plus, the only starter under contract in their secondary is aging vet Harrison Smith, who they need to probably agree to another contract restructure. A big chunk of their $61 million in cap space will be dedicated to re-signing their defensive backs or pursuing someone like DJ Reed or Charvarius Ward in free agency. I think they will also add offensive interior line help. We saw Sam Darnold crumble under pressure in the last couple games. They will get tackle Christian Darrisaw back from injury. Assuming J.J. McCarthy is the starter, a beefed up line and a steady running game will do him wonders. The Vikings are in a luxury spot though, right? Darnold overperformed, but they can easily move on from him with JJ on deck. Veteran backup quarterback is a need if Darnold walks, and they will probably just bring Daniel Jones back to do that, even though we all want it to be Aaron Rodgers. The Chicago Bears' biggest need? Well, they addressed it when they hired Ben Johnson. No note, Chicago. Good job. Okay, fine. Ben Johnson will want a dynamic running back, and he already moved on from DeAndre Swift once. Chicago will need to build up that offensive line, just like we watched Dan Campbell do for the Lions. Tevin Jenkins is a free agent, but he finally started to click as a guard and played in 14 games. He got 14 in. The Bears have $68 million in cap space and 3 draft picks in the top 50. Jenkins just hasn't been able to stay healthy. I think Chicago signs a guard or center in free agency. Maybe the Chiefs' Trey Smith. Draft Ashton Genty if he's there at 10, and then take the best available lineman with your next 2 picks. Both PFF and Daniel Jeremiah have them drafting Alabama guard Tyler Booker at pick 10, suggesting the less sexy but more practical thing to do. In a dream world, they will sign edge rusher Josh Sweat, just so they have a sweat on both edges of their defense. Imagine how cool the sweat on sweat poster would be. The Bears defense makes opposing QBs sweat.
I just wanna make you sweat. Just beat me.
But simply get Caleb protection. Make that offense work. It's very simple for the Bears. The Lions. Their biggest need for all of their defensive players to not be made of glass. Guard Kevin Zeitler came in on a 1-year deal. They'd be smart to keep him on their roster if possible. If not, getting younger on the interior is a good idea for Detroit. The Lions have $56 million cap space. 4 of their top 10 paid players are all on the offensive line, so they may need to draft there for the future. Detroit feels like the only team that needs 2 depth pieces at every defensive position. Edge help opposite Aiden Hutchinson. That's big. Carlton Davis, corners, a free agent, and Terrion Arnold was really up and down as a rookie. I have seen Marshall, edge rusher Mike Green mocked to Detroit, as well as Princely Umanamilian. who for name's sake is my choice. If they don't make an aggressive trade for, say, Myles Garrett, which would be a luxury ad, I'd target the number 1 free agent corner, DJ Reed. Same age as Carlton Davis, but better. Making their secondary better is their biggest need. The Lions' defense is so hard to evaluate because so many starters were hurt. But I don't really know. Nobody knows. You can't know which of those guys are the answers moving forward, Detroit. But good luck. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports, NFC Free Agency Edition. Please subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't done so already.